Hello and welcome to the Building an Indie Business podcast with SupremeRumHam. I'm your host, Alex. Today, I wanted to go over podcast marketing because I recorded two podcasting episodes, and I feel those were pretty successful and people liked hearing about that. So I wanted to do another podcasting episode. So let's get into it because I feel like this is going to be a long episode, so I don't want to do a shout out for this episode. I have 10 different ways to market your podcast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an episode or a podcast from start to finish, and I'm going to walk you through before you have the podcast and then when you have the podcast. So for this exercise, we're going to go through how someone can create a podcast about JavaScript. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to create a pre-audience. Okay. So you can do this by starting an email list. And I have a link that will help you automate your email list that can send out emails automatically to your audience. But how are you going to create your audience? Okay, the first thing you can do is create a listener survey on Typeform or SurveyMonkey, and you ask your potential audience questions. You ask them, what topics do you want to go over? Do they want you to go over React or Vue or the origins of JavaScript? What people would you like? Would they like you to interview? Would they like to hear Evan You or someone from the React team or someone that worked at Sun Microsystems, the people who created JavaScript? Let them tell you exactly what they want. So, how do you get the survey in front of people to sign up for your email list? The first thing you can do is you can go on Reddit and you post the survey on Reddit. You can post it on Learn Programming, Learn JavaScript, React, those subreddits. You can also go where your potential audience hangs out. You can go to Stack Overflow, the Free Code Camp forum, places like that, and hold on to those two places, Reddit and where your potential audience hangs out, because I will go back to that. Okay, now that you have done your pre-audience and you've created your pre-audience, now you have your podcast. So for your podcast marketing, now that you have your podcast, the first thing you want to do is you want to add the podcast to any podcast directory. So, that's Apple, that's Google, that's Spotify, and all the other random ones like Stitcher, Podbean, those smaller ones, because people use them and you want to get the maximum audience that you have, potential audience that you can. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to create a Twitter account for your podcast. And what you do on Twitter is you use podcasting hashtags to maximize the amount of people that can see your content on Twitter. So you're going to use hashtag Potter and Family, hashtag podcasting, hashtag technology, hashtag web development, hashtag JavaScript on every single one of your posts. What are you going to post on Twitter? You post a link to your email list so that you can email people the episode when it comes out. You're going to post teaser videos, like short snippets of your video or your podcast, how are you going to create that video? You're going to use Headliner.app, and you can create a short video based on the exact amount of time that is allowed for a video on Twitter. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to convert your audio to video so that you can use YouTube as a place to post your podcast. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say maximize your potential audience. You use on YouTube, you're going to use all the possible hashtags you can to maximize your audience. So you're going to use JavaScript, web development, React, Vue, anything that is related to JavaScript in the description of your video so that people can find your YouTube videos and then subscribe to your podcast. Okay. The next thing you can try is you can try Patreon. And the same exact thing on YouTube, just post the specific audio, not a link to the audio, and then when in the description of the video, you can post a link to the podcast, and then use hashtags where they allow you on Patreon. I think they allow, 5, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I've used Patreon. And when people search something on Patreon, they'll stumble onto your podcast, and that's how you can grow your audience on Patreon. Okay. The next thing you can do is have guests. And the reason why you want to have guests is because you can take advantage of their audience. So if you have the creator of JavaScript, Brendan Eich, that's his name, I completely forgot it. He probably has thousands of followers. So when the podcast is out, he can tweet it out to his audience and they could listen to it, and they might listen to previous episodes and like those previous episodes and subscribe to your podcast. Okay, so the final thing you can do to market your podcast is write. And what you can write about is you summarize each episode. You can summarize things you have learned or the main points your guest made while on the podcast. And then you do exactly what you did for the podcast. You distribute your articles to any possible place that you can. So you're going to try to distribute your articles on Free Code Camp, their writing section, or their articles section, Hacker Noon. You're going to create your own blog and post the articles on Hacker News and any other place that they allow articles on JavaScript. Okay. Those are the 10 ideas I have for marketing your podcast before you have the podcast and after you start the podcast. If you have an interest in podcasting, join the open podcast community, and you can record your own episode of the unreleased open podcast community podcast. You can create the audio and send it to me with the show notes, and I will add it to our RSS feed. And that way you can get the experience of podcasting without the hassle of setting up a podcast. Okay. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Bye. Are you listening? Okay. No joke today. Have a nice day.